Swadika, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Kuna here. We are in Govan, near Glasgow. We're here to visit Govan Old Church and Govan Stone in here. Here the sign say Govan Old Church. So we're gonna walk straight up here, the church right in front, but the end there, where the white car is. And have a check out the sign here quickly. Well, it say you are standing one of the most important historic site in Glasgow and the ancient cradle of Christianity in Scotland since around 500 AD. The early there had been a community living in Govan, survived the arrival of heavy industry, was developed for shipbuilding around here in the old day. And what's this one here say? It's a archaeological excavation in the churchyard in the 1990 revealed the Christian burial dating back to over 1500 years, making it to the oldest surviving churchyard in Scotland. What is that here? Royal Cemetery of the King of Strathclyde. The Govan stone is unique and internationally significant collection of early medieval carved stone and now housed in this church. Please pause to read if you have time. ภาษาไทยจะแปลให้อ่านนะคะขอบคุณมากนะคะ The community of the living and the dead. The burial have begun in the earlier phase of Christian in Scotland. However, the most of the Govan stone we also seen today dating back to 1500 years old, and this one is a headstone showing what they used to be: shoemaker, weaver, gardeners, later deister. Wow, very old. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And this one here is quite interesting, the symbol order. It's say here early 1900th century to 1560 century. The hawkback style have distinctive carved back reminiscence of roof of look like a Viking longhouse. Some people think they represent the house of death. The way they style. Looking back here in this last poster into the past, the last survivor, Govan grew rapidly from 1800, and industry expand, and a lot of new workers moved into this area by 1900. This place started by workshop and shipyard. The green of heart of Govan. This is right in town in the Govan, and we have all these interesting thing to come in to see. It's amazing. I love it. I always want to come in here, but at the time they were closed because of COVID. I'm so glad we were able to come in today. Please pause to read if anyone who have time and interested to read it. Thank you very much for watching again, everyone. Where wildlife find home around here. Bird, moss, trees, bushes, wildflower. There you go. And they have bamboo, elder. I don't think they have that now. There's a map here. Govan Old Church, there's a brown map there, surrounded by Linthouse. You see, that must be the burial site. Cemetery, quite a big place. We say you see it there. We got to go in here, so we had a guy. He go to talk to us a few things, and they have been dig it up quite a few in the past, in the early 1990s, I think, around here. So when we went in here, we got to talk to a guy, and he got to show us around and talk to us a little bit about the stone and about everything in there and the history a little bit. I would like to thank everyone for watching. Come and join us and hope you like it. Thank you very much again. ขอบคุณมากนะคะที่เข้ามารับชมพยายามจะแปลให้อ่านเป็นภาษาอังกฤษเท่าที่จะทำได้ค่ะขอบคุณมากนะคะทุกท่าน Let's go in there. Have a look, my friend. Thank you. Kapis Kamirat. It's a built
1888, this one.
It's a not built in 1500.
Oh, so there's been a church here for over 1500 years. I'm just talking about this most current one.
All right, the current one.
1888.
Okay.
And it's done in a kind of late Gothic Revival style. Like it was deliberately done to evoke the kind of medieval. Yeah, like the stained glass. And it's almost like a medieval cathedral.
Yes.
But it reflects the height of all the wealth coming in from the shipbuilding.
Okay. When you say the shipbuilding, what century is that?
It's mostly the 19th is the height of it.
Well, this is church has been built in 1888.
Yeah.
1888.
But there's been churches on this ground since 5th, 6th century.
Yeah.
For 6th century.
So it's been 1500 years there's been a site here.
1500 years?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So it's one of the oldest sites of Christianity in all of Scotland.
Okay. So, see the headstone. The headstone here. Yes. What century it came from?
So it's quite... Most of the stones you see here, they date to the Viking Age.
The Viking Age. So
9th to 11th century.
9th to 11th century, right?
So that's mostly over 1,000 years ago.
1,000 years ago.
But this one it's most likely a prehistoric standing stone that's just in the Viking Age had Christian imagery carved on top of it.
Where the Christian carved on top of that, is that
so
here?
This is a Christian symbol. It's called the sunstone.
The sunstone.
So you've got the sun here, and then the rays of the sun are snakes.
Okay. This is snake, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's the way the snake sheds its skin. It's like it's been born again. So it ties in with resurrection. Because if you'll notice right in the back, there's a cross there as well, but it's got more snakes on the top.
I see. The symbol of snake shed skin, like a sun.
Yeah, so you see there and there, and then here and here. What's that?
That's called a sun style.
No,
sun
it's they were
stand.
just lying outside in the churchyard, and like it was only quite recently that proper archaeology. Like so, one of the smallest topics went down to the British Museum when there was a Viking exhibition on. Okay. But all the stones you see here were found in the churchyards, and you'll notice a lot of them. So they all date to the Viking Age, but some of them have names and initials on them. Okay. Those date from the early modern period when local families reused them as their own gravestones from the 1600s and 1700s.
I grew up in King's Park, so I know Govan well, but I don't really, my brother lived in Govan for a long time, like 5 years, just passed away last year. And he knew all about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff in the Govan.
Yeah. So these were made for the fact that in the Viking Age, this used to be a normal burial ground for drinking called craved. It used to look from Martin Castle, but it gets sacked by the Vikings in 870, the Vikings from Dublin. So they relocated the holidays from the Barton to the Glasgow area, where the king has his royal estate in Partick, but Govan is the principal religious site. And why there's so much sculpture here is because it's where the royal family are meant to be buried.
the writing there. Worship, please. Battling belief, jubilance. Interesting. It's a big shirt. You could have a look at this one here. Look like animal คล้าย animal เหมือนอะไรสักอย่างหนึ่ง Please do not climb on the stone. Anyone can read the language? Is this one here? She said not come on the to the glory of God in memory Agnes Michael faith and faithful until death. Hawkback arc print. One of these coffin. Language, girl name, meaning. Hawkback white. A curving leg. Then like a peak. Move. Interesting, okay. Love the strain card. I love this strain card. That's it. Kingship. Certain covenant dedicated Saint Constantine, who was mysterious saint, and how was he? Remember, at Govan, there is number important figure from early medieval Scotland. This my were constantly God. The sarcophagus is rich, decorated, carving show the armed man horseback with many presents. Constantine himself. He depicted hunting deer, favorite sport early medieval novel. Hunting was often used as image of spiritual gifts in Christian art. Okay. Just love this stained glass, so beautiful. What does it represent?
So these are known as hogbacks.
Hogback is a pig, yeah?
It's just because of the shape of them. That's a modern name for them. But these date to the 10th century.
10th century?
And you only find these hogbacks in Britain. And these are seen as Viking influence, just the style of them. Because what it seems to be is the Vikings, when they conquered the north of England, there's a tradition there of making house shrines or shrines for the dead for the saints and the clergy. But when the Vikings take over, all those stone carvers are now working for Vikings. So the Vikings are settled there, they're becoming Christianised, they're putting down roots, and they're influenced by the local sculpture, but they put their own twist on it. So now, instead of being carved house shrines for like saints, they're like Viking longhouses basically, and you find dragons and bears carved on them, which does explain the Viking influence. But again, over there I was talking about the sack of Dumbarton and the Viking raids there, and now I'm talking about possible Viking influence gravestones here. I think that reflects a change in the political situation, where in the 9th century the major threat of this kingdom was the Vikings, but in the 10th century, when these are dated to, the main threat was the English. Yeah. So there was a great battle fought in 937 called Brunanburh, where Scotland, Strathclyde and the Vikings from Dublin all team up and fight side by side against the English because they become a superpower. So I think, enemies have become allies, and there is Norse settlement along the Firth of Clyde and Loch Lomond at the time. So I think these reflect a cultural change and a change in the political situation, where the kings of Strathclyde, they're encountering Vikings on friendlier terms, and they like the look of the sculpture and they just copy it. So even though these are Viking in style, I don't think they're made for Vikings. It's just the scale of them. You would need to be on the level of a king to have something like this made for you.
Does that belong to the king? No.
I think so. Just normally the hogbacks are about the third of the size of these. So just the sheer size of them, you would need to be part of the royal family to have something like this carved.
Because it's expensive too. A lot of work. A lot of work.
And I think it's also part of that kind of power display again. If a Viking is used to seeing hogbacks and he comes here and sees these massive ones, he must think, this is a powerful kingdom. I don't want to fight them, I want to fight for them.
Good idea.
So, unfortunately, once Govan industrialised, a lot of these stones get quite weathered and polluted. But if you want to look at closer at some of the details, there is actually a bear carved in this one. If you stand here, like the head is up there and the paws are like it's holding on. So you see it there. And the bear is one of the
strong.
Bears, we can guess that it's a Viking influence because bears were really important in the Viking culture. We've got stories of a Viking warrior who goes into a trance and his spirit manifests as a bear to fight in a battle. There's a legendary Danish king called Shield. He goes out and hunts a bear. He doesn't kill it, but he binds it. And if you look at the poster there of the hogbacks in England, you'll notice the bears a lot more clearly, and you'll notice their muzzles are bound. I think that's part of a kind of Viking warrior initiation, where you find that in their culture of like proving your worth as a warrior is going out and fighting a wild animal or binding it. So I think again, you know, it's even though the Vikings are being influenced by the sculpture here, they're still like, you know, proud of the old country, as it were. So if you want to come up and have a closer look. So you just see the bears. So those are some of the ones from Yorkshire, those are some of the original ones.
Oh yeah,
You can see the bears a lot.
oh, you can see it much clearer there, yeah.
It's a hand, the pole,
Yes.
a pole.
In the map there, it shows you where you find hogbacks. It's mainly around Danelaw. So it's around York and in Cumbria.
Okay, right.
And I think most of the ones in England, they are made for the Vikings. But the ones you see in Scotland and Strathclyde, they are a cultural influence.
So Orkney and Shetland, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The Vikings, right? But there's so many of them down there, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like they're mainly clustered around there. It's really, and again, like the majority of them, even if they were made for Christians, have no Christian imagery on them. It's mostly like bears, dragons, some scenes from Norse legends as well. Because you'll notice there is no obvious Christian imagery on these hogbacks, whereas every other stone here is a cross or has a cross carved on it. So this one, again, it's quite one that has a bear on either end. This one would have had a dragon head, like pointing up the way. So in Viking longhouses, you know, you can see the shape of them is really similar to the holes here. And then Norwegian stave churches, which is later Norse ones, you'll find dragon heads jutting out the side of the temple, and that's to ward away evil. So I think it's a similar idea happening here as well. And it's what's so interesting, I think hogbacks are a good symbol of the Viking Age in Britain, because even though it's a violent time period, these stones reflect all these different cultures and ideas coming together to make new forms of art. Like one hogback, it could represent a saint shrine for a holy person, and then another one, it's similar to how Valhalla is depicted in some Scandinavian art. So it's pagan, it's Christian, it's native, it's Viking, it's all these different cultures coming together and making new forms of art.
What is the Dendays?
So there's a bowl shaped here, and it's quite interesting. It's like there's a few different theories. There's one early medieval form of prayer is rubbing stones together, and then the bowl that gathers, if water gathers in it, it's considered holy. Those are called bullion stones. You find them in northern Britain and Ireland. And what's interesting is you find a lot of the time bullion stones, you find sword or cup marks next to them, and there is a sword or cup mark here as well. So it's not as if, you know, they're not just being created for the dead and then left alone. They're maybe being used in oath swearing ceremonies as well.
Where did the stone come from?
We don't know exactly, but it's local sandstone. So it's the same kind of stone you see the tenements made from.
This is sandstone.
You can see there's another dragon head down here, the alley there. So yeah, I think the hogbacks, the scale of them and how finely carved they are, these are dated to roughly the middle of the 10th century, and I think these were made when Strathclyde was at the height of its power. As during this time period, the kingdom actually expands all the way from Loch Lomond into what's now Cumbria today.
These aren't hollow inside.
They're slightly concave at the bottom, but they're solid.
Solid.
Yeah.
Where's Edinburgh in comparison?
Edinburgh, it's
Further south?
it would be quite close to their kingdom. It was part of the kingdom of Northumbria, but by this point it was a kind of like a rump English state that was still quite powerful. But yeah, it would have been nearby. There's a map here. I'll see if I can find a map for you.
So Uhtred was real?
Yeah, there was quite a lot of butchers, but yeah, the garage is based on.
Dragon.
So you can see in the map here, the kingdom here, it would have been about here, I think.
That's where the castle is. Yeah.
Yeah, Edinburgh, that's
Yeah.
It's very close to Edinburgh. Yeah.
So that's just a map showing you some of the.
It was in that time period.
Yeah, Uhtred, yeah. Well, there was a whole bunch of Uhtred, like,
Yeah.
you know, Uhtred, son of Uhtred, but yeah.
Uhtred, son of Uhtred,
Yeah.
of Edinburgh, is about 1100, 1050. Maybe before that. I will come out of town.
It's just a map showing you some of the kingdoms, so Strathclyde, how long it extended.
Uhtred, son of
Long
Uhtred,
way.
that's what we say. But you should.
So I was going to show you that.
And it's not far from here, and the influences around here.
Oh, it's organ. Wonderful.
So this might be one of the earliest stones we have. It's dated to roughly the late 9th century, and you'll notice it isn't quite as weathered as some of the other stones. But it was found in the churchyard in 1855, when someone was digging a grave between two trees and found it purely by chance. So you can see where a tree roots were
Yeah.
through. But it's decorated on all four sides and would have been originally in early medieval times displayed in the church to be venerated. Possibly during the Reformation in the 1500s, it's been taken out and buried. If you know, during the Reformation, but having the bones of saints and kings in a church is no longer seen as acceptable, because during the Reformation, Glasgow Cathedral gets vandalised, so maybe it gets taken out and buried, not as an act of disrespect, but to try and preserve it. But it means we've lost the bones and we've lost the lid. So the great mystery is we don't really know who it was actually for. But the main theory is, because this church is dedicated to a Saint Constantine, it's made for a king of Pictland who was killed in the late 9th century when this is dated to, called Constantine. He's killed in 876 fighting the Vikings, and he would have been seen then as a Christian king killed by a pagan foe, so he'd been seen as a holy martyr, and then his bones would have been seen as relics. And his sister was married into the royal family here, so she married King Rin, who was the son of Argyll who escaped the sack of Dumbarton. And that could explain the family connection, could explain it if it is made for Constantine, how he ended up in another kingdom's church. But there is, again, I was saying right down from that picture from the royal horseback, where on display here. Some of the carvings in there are quite crude, but it's really finely crafted. You can see he's got a sword, and then he's got a beard and almost a kind of Mohican kind of hairstyle. And it seems to be a hound and a deer, so it seems to be a hunting scene, which was depicted as being a royal privilege. So it was clearly, I think, made for some high status warrior king in a picture
Really held
style.
up well.
Yeah. And I was saying earlier to you about that A symbol.
Yeah.
So you see down there, carved in the rear of the horse, there's the A.
I don't think we haven't got anything like this in Bury St Edmunds, because I think it was on loss because
Yeah.
we saw the Reformation and the town sacked the place.
Yeah, it's really rare to find early medieval sarcophagus carved from a single block of stone. The only other example I think of is Derby in England, or St Alkmund's sarcophagus that's done in a quite similar style.
What I wanted to ask, like, I've seen sarcophagus in like Egypt, and there are great big things where a man could lay down.
Yeah.
Was it just bones?
It would have just been bones.
So did they sort of, what did they
So, well, it depends on the context. If he was killed in battle, it depends when they recovered the body. And it could have been he was buried and then like they left him for and then they just dug up his bones and then placed it in there. Because you'll notice if you look up, there's actually holes.
A hole.
Yeah.
Inside.
And like, if you, it's one theory is that's to touch the relics, because Venerable Bede talks about Saint Chad and him having a similar kind of stone sculpture where like there's like a wee hole where you could go in and touch the relics. So it's an act of veneration.
Right, yeah. Because I mean, the Romans, they had full size.
Yeah, and they had similar.
Flying, weren't they? Well, the ones.
Oh no, some of them could be quite decorated, and it's like I think the Romans had a big influence on the sculpture. Like, funny enough, even though they spent a lot of time fighting the Picts, the Romans that influenced the
see
Picts, the
from
sculpture, and then the Picts influenced the people here. So it seems to be a long inheritance from the Romans, this kind of sculpture.
Yeah, that theory was up because at first I thought that's how it was to drain
Yeah, I know it's like it would have been maybe pouring like sacred oil, holy oil in it, and then the oil they would collect it, and it would be kind of like considered as holy itself.
So was this a big place of pilgrimage then? Or was that because like Paris was that was a huge.
I'm not sure. I think the fact it has royal sponsorship is why it's so important, and I think it's more the political side, like the sarcophagus. I think whoever held the bone, if it's made for Constantine of Pictland, whoever held his bones, it would maybe enhance their own right to rule. Because the Pictish princess marrying Rin, their son Jokic, for a while ruled Pictland. So maybe having the bones of this great king that died fighting Vikings, it made their right to rule maybe just a bit easier. And remember I was saying about the deer trampling on the snake, you can just see down there. So again, that's seen as Christ triumphing over the devil. And also back to the A symbol, again, there's a new theory came up that the A carved in the rear of the horse, it's a Christian symbol that stands for a martyred king. Because this dates the late 9th century, and it seems to be, being martyred by the Vikings was an occupational hazard. Because in the late 9th century, there was a king of East Anglia called Edmund, who's also martyred by the Great Heathen Army. But then later on, there's coins issued in that king's honour that have that same A symbol. So I'll just show you. And it seems to be too much of a coincidence, the dating of that. So just.
Oh yes, look at that. Right.
So it's the and then the A on the
on the
horse.
back of the horse.
In the
Right over here.
the center there.
Yeah.
How old is it?
So this one dates from about the late 9th century, so about over 1100 years ago.
11 year,
1100 years ago.
10,000 years.
So where is the egg? Is
It's
it
right there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
I can't
clear,
remember
isn't
exactly. It's so clear.
For over 10,000 years now?
No,
6,000.
1000.
1,000, sorry. 1,000. 10,000 centuries, sorry.
And what stone, do we know what stone that was?
It's local sandstone.
So just like sandstone tenements, like that, right?
Age, they were involved in these carved stones, they were involved in great alliances, the Battle of Brunanburgh, and then later on in 1016 there's the Battle of Carham where they ally with the Scots again against the English. So they were and they were appear in the records of different peoples, they appear in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, they actually appear in Icelandic poetry as well, called the Cumra. So they were an important and well-known people of that time period. It's just towards the end of the Viking Age, when they find themselves wedged in between a more powerful Scotland and England, that they finally find their kingdom comes to an end. England conquers the Cumbrian half of the kingdom, and when that happens, Scotland doesn't want England intruding on what it sees as its sphere of influence. So it's about 1070 is when this place finally gets conquered by Scotland. And when that happens, Gaelic replaces Cumbric as the language spoken here. And it's in the 12th century when Glasgow Cathedral starts getting made, and it's made to take attention away from here because Scotland doesn't want the principal church of this area to be associated with the regime they deposed. Glasgow Cathedral takes attention away from here because it's on the other side of Glasgow. And when that happens, you stop seeing sculpture being made here, you start seeing it made over there in Glasgow Cathedral. And when that happens, over time, people here start associating with being Scots rather than Cumbrians, and when that happens, the history of this place fades into myth and legend until today. So thanks for coming along and learning a wee bit about them.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Sawadika, hi. I would like to thank everyone for watching and really enjoy it today. I'm waiting to come here for quite a few years. The old shut doing the COVID, so short story short, today I was lucky. Thank you ขอบคุณมากนะคะที่เข้ามารับชมแล้วจะแปลให้อ่านใน description ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ Bye everyone